welcome to DIY with Nancy. Today I'm going to show you how to make a very soft and fluffy banana bread made out of very ripe bananas that nobody here at home wants to eat. So I decided I'm going to show you how to make this recipe. Now it's very simple. In Portuguese I call it Pãozinho de Banana. It's, like I said, very soft, very fluffy. You can pull apart this bread. It stays fresh for days and it's so simple to make. So stay with me and watch how to make my soft and fluffy banana bread step by step.
Let's get started. First step, I'm going to start activating the yeast with 1 teaspoon of granulated sugar in a medium-sized bowl. To that, 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast. Give that a quick stir. And next I'm adding 1/3 cup of lukewarm milk, and this is going to help activate the yeast. And once again, I'm just going to stir it to combine, set it aside, let the yeast activate, and move on to the next step. For the next step, I'm just going to take the 2 bananas that are very ripe bananas. Nobody here at home is going to eat them. I'm going to remove the peel from both bananas, and once I remove the peel from the bananas, I'm just going to start mashing them up with a fork. Now let me move the peels out of the way, don't need those. And I'm simply going to mash the bananas with a fork until I get a smooth and creamy texture. Now here's the creamy texture. It's perfect. I'm ready now to set it aside and move on to the next step. For the next step, I'll be using my stand mixer to make the dough, and I'm going to start off by placing the mashed bananas right into the mixing bowl. To that, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of melted butter that's unsalted, 1 large egg, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar. I'm going to add the whisk attachment to my mixer, and I'm going to mix that together for about a minute until it comes together and it's well combined. Okay, my wet mixture looks like it's well combined. I'm now going to stop the mixer. And at this point, I'm going to remove my whisk attachment. Don't need that anymore. I'm going to add my next ingredient, which is the activated yeast that I prepared earlier. Now I always have a spatula handy. I'm just gonna scrape down the balance of the activated yeast, place it in the mixing bowl. And before I add my last and final ingredient, I'm going to use a spatula to scrape down the sides of the bowl and mix together the activated yeast with the wet mixture. And at this point, I'm going to add 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add my hook attachment to do the kneading and forming the dough. I'm placing the mixer on a low to medium speed. Now I'm going to let that mix for about 3 to 4 minutes until the dough comes together. And once it comes together, it starts pulling away from the sides of the bowl, just as you see it here. The mixer's been mixing the dough for about 3 minutes. Now the dough is almost there. I'm going to let it mix for 1 more minute and I'll show you what it looks like. The dough looks like it's come together nicely. I'm going to stop the mixer and I'm going to show you. You'll end up a very stretchy and sticky dough, just perfect. Now I'm ready to move on to the next step. Now I'm going to transfer the dough to this glass bowl here, but before I do, I'm just going to dust some all-purpose flour onto the bottom of the bowl before I place the dough in there. Now I'm simply just transferring the dough to the bowl. You don't need to knead this dough any further. Now the all-purpose flour is going to help the dough from sticking to the bottom of the bowl. And all I'm doing is forming a ball, and at this point I'm going to cover the dough and let it rise. Now the rising time can take anywhere from 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Now you want to make sure you keep it in a warm place so it can rise. So at this point, I'm going to set it aside and wait until it doubles in size. Okay, it's time for me to check on the dough. I let the dough rise for about 1.5 hours. And it's more than doubled in size. It looks super fluffy and smells like banana. So let's move on to the next step. Now here I'm simply removing the dough from the bowl and I'm going to place it on my counter. Now you want to make sure you have some all-purpose flour set aside. You want to dust it onto your counter so your dough doesn't stick. And now at this point, all I'm going to do is stretch out the dough into about a 12-inch circle and flatten it. And using my bench scraper or pastry scraper, I'm going to cut it into 12 triangle pieces. For the next step, once you have your 12 pieces divided, you're gonna shape it into a ball, and then you're just gonna simply roll it onto the counter or on your hands and just form a ball, just as I'm doing here. Now I'm gonna continue rolling the balls of dough, and then I'll move on to the next step. This recipe will make you 12 pieces of banana bread. Now here I have a 9x3 springform pan, which I'm going to grease with 1 teaspoon of unsalted butter at room temperature. I'm going to simply use a pastry brush to grease the bottom and the sides of the springform pan before I start placing the dough into the pan. Now this is a fairly easy step. I'm just going to place the balls of dough into the pan. I'm going to line them all on the outside, and then I'm going to make room just to place the additional balls of dough right in the center, just like that. Now I'm ready for the second rise. I'm simply going to cover it with a tea towel for 30 minutes, and we're going to set it aside in a warm place and come back to it. After 30 minutes, the dough has doubled in size, and before I place it in the oven, I'm ready for one final step. It just looks beautiful. I love this presentation. Now I'm going to just set that aside, and for the egg wash, I have 1 tablespoon of water and 1 egg. And I'm going to mix the water and the egg to create the egg wash, and then I'm going to simply brush the egg wash onto the dough. Now the egg wash is going to give that nice shine on the top of the dough while it's in the oven, and a nice golden brown color. Now I'm ready to place the banana bread in the oven. I'm going to bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 30 minutes. And here it is. My banana bread is out of the oven. I had it baking for 28 minutes. It has a nice golden brown color and shine on the top. I'm going to let it cool for about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to pull it apart and show you how soft and fluffy it is inside. I removed the banana bread from the springform pan. It's still quite warm. It's a great presentation. It's soft. You press down. See how it bounces back? It's that fluffy. Now let's pull apart the banana bread, and the great thing about this recipe is you don't need a knife to cut it into it. It's just soft and fluffy. Look at that. Now this fluffiness and softness of this banana bread lasts for days. It's so soft, but I gotta eat it. Beautiful color on the outside. I hope you give this recipe a try of my soft and fluffy banana bread.
And there you have it, everyone. That is my soft and fluffy banana bread made right at home out of some ripe bananas that nobody wants to eat. Instead of throwing them out, why not try this recipe? Like I said, they are a pull-apart banana bread, very soft and fluffy. They're still warm, smells so good, and I love to eat it when it's warm. So it's that easy. You get the flavor of that banana. It's not overwhelming, but you can easily double up on this recipe if you like. I hope you all enjoyed my soft and fluffy banana bread. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks so much for watching. Take care, everyone.